I'm Rick. Thanks for dropping by. The new Nik Collection 9 dropped a few weeks ago, a collection of 7 apps to help you enhance your creativity. Nik Collection 9 has a host of new features, local adjustments, colour grading, blend modes, halation and more. But today I'm going to take you through a practical start to finish edit, starting in PhotoLab 9 and finishing up in Nik Color Efex 9. So here we go, we're in PhotoLab 9 and we're going to work on this image here, a quick start to finish edit. In PhotoLab, optical corrections, noise reduction, lens sharpness. I've created a couple of presets and they appear in the preset drop down menu. This one is optical corrections plus the noise reduction algorithm Deep Prime XD3. And this one is optical corrections plus just the basic Deep Prime 3 algorithm. Now, because this photograph was taken on an elderly camera with a kit lens, I'm going to do everything I can to eke most sharpness and detail out of it, so I'm running with the XD3 algorithm, and I think you can see it does have a little bit of a difference there. That's the before. That's the after. Again, before, after. Right, now we're going to take this into the Nik Collection. That's all I'm doing with this image in PhotoLab. Hit the Nik Collection button and check the settings. TIFF is the best format to use if you're going to continue to process the image. If you're going to finish it, JPEG would do. So we go with TIFF, use 16-bit, and I very rarely make any other changes in this panel. Settings are done. Let's go into Nik 9 Color Efex now. Some exciting new updates in Color Efex and the rest of the Nik Collection 9 range, and local adjustments are an absolute winner, and I'll be using local adjustments in here. But a quick look at a couple of new features here. There's a new category called Trending, so we'll click on that and drop the preset button down. And there's some new presets in there. Analog City, that's new, back from the past. I quite like that one. And as you scroll down through the rest of the list, you get a preview of the final effect. Now what I have done is I have created a personal preset called Original Image, which allows me to reset it so I can start all over. Having done that, let's go away from all personal and go into Nik. Drop down the filters button. Excuse me. Now you'll notice that there's just a small list there with yellow stars. Those are my favorites. Unclick that and there's the whole list of all the filters. Favorites are the ones I'm going to be using mostly to process this image. I'm going to start with the sky, try and bring a bit more detail back into that. Work on the hills, add a bit of drama to the hills while retaining the sunlight on the ridges. Add a bit of autumn warmth to this tree and this tree. After all, this photograph was taken at the start of autumn here in New Zealand. Not sure what I'll do about the water. I might just add a wee touch of clear view there, and I'm going to bring out the shadows in these rocks in the foreground. So I'm going to start with Detail Extractor in the sky, click the plus button and it adds it to the right hand panel. As you can see, adjusting it affects the whole image. Don't want that. I just want to use the sky, and here's where the local adjustments come in. Click Add Local Adjustment and there are your options: Object Selection, Area Selection, Control Point, Control Line, Control Polygon, Luminosity Mask, Color Mask and Depth Mask, which is one I won't be using to process this image. I'm going to start with Object Selection and click on the sky. and if I press M on my Mac keyboard, it shows the mask, and just moving it gets the whole sky. M again brings you back to the main picture, and if you hit this overlay option button here, you can give yourself a red overlay as well. The moment you start making an adjustment, the overlay will disappear. So as you can see, adjusting the detail extractor is working only on the sky, and it can be pretty harsh, so we don't want to overdo that. I'll just drop that back to about there. There's the after and there's the before. So once you're happy with that, oh, what I didn't show you was the feathering option. So I've pressed M to bring up the black and white mask. There's the feathering option there. Obviously we want a fairly sharp edge along the top of the hills and the top of the tree. And there's M again. Right, minimize that. Now I'm going to tackle this tree and this tree, and I'm going to use a warmth filter for that, which is not in my favorites list, so unclick that. Brilliance and warmth, that's the one I want. Add that to the side, and again you can see without a local adjustment added, it affects the whole image. This time I'm going to use an area selection and select this tree. M, there's my mask. It looks pretty good. I'm not going to worry too much about getting it absolutely precise. So increase the warmth and the saturation just a little. After all, it is autumn. So there's the before, there's the after. Before and after. I'm going to move on to this tree here now. Same filter, same area selection. Increase the warmth a little bit and the saturation. Now I'm not saying that these are perfect, it's just to give you an idea of how it works. Now you'll notice we've got this tree reflected here and this tree reflected here. I'll come back to those shortly, but now I'm basically happy with that. So I'm just going to see what we can do with the water. Going to my favorites, I'm going to add clear view. Same thing again, affects the whole image. Local adjustment, object selection. We got a few areas down here that aren't exact, but for the purposes of this exercise I'm not going to worry too much about that. So you can see it working fairly well on there. Now the reason I didn't adjust the reflections on the trees straight after adjusting the trees themselves is because this clear view adjustment is affecting the reflections as well. So I'll just leave that about there, and now I'm going to come back to the tree reflections and just see what we can do with that. I'm going to use, what am I going to use here? I'm going to use the brilliance and warmth filter again, add that, but this time I'm going to use a control point, and I'm going to drop it right there. Press IM. Now it doesn't actually show the mask until you get it in the right place. Now what I like about these is they're elliptical and you can twist them back and forth. So I'm just going to drop that down a bit. As I said before, I'm not going to be absolutely precise. We can also adjust the effect of the mask by adjusting the chrominance and the luminance. And to get rid of this up here, we can also decrease the diffusion. Hit M again. You can see it working on the tree reflection. Again, not too much. Oh, I think that's looking a little unrealistic, unnatural. Before and after. Anyway, you get the idea there. Now, next we'll work on this tree over here on the right. Same filter again, only this time I'm going to do something a little bit different. Actually no, I'm going to delete that filter and I'm coming back up to this brilliance and warmth filter here, and I'm going to effectively reuse this mask. And to do that, I'm going to select it there. I'm going to duplicate it, and there it is there. And then I'm just going to drag it down. And I think, yeah, maybe it's a little bit bright, but I think it works okay. You get the general idea anyway. Well, I hope you do. So that's that. Now, next, the hills. And I'm going to do this with levels and curves. So I'll add that, add a local adjustment, and again, I'm not going to be absolutely precise selecting the mask. This will do a pretty good job for me. There's M. We've got a little bit of overflow here. So midpoint, reduce the shadows a bit and push up those highlights a bit. Whoops, that's a bit too much. Just to the point where it adds a little bit of glow to this ridge line and this ridge line, and there's a little bit of a ridge line there as well. So let's do the before and the after. Yep, that looks alright to me. And now these rocks in the foreground, I'm going to use the Viveza selective tone adjustment there, so I'm going to add that, and again I'm going to use control points there. We can adjust our luminance and our chrominance. And just going to bring up those shadows a little bit. And once again, I'm going to duplicate. Oops. What have I done here? Oh, that's better. Too many clicks. I'm going to duplicate that control point, and there it is there. And I'm just going to drag it over to here, and because it's elliptical I can drag that out and twist it a little bit. So there's the before and there's the after. And just because we can, let's add a border. Typically I run my borders in Nik at around about 50%, 51, whatever. And I'm a great fan of white borders. So there's the before, there's the after. Before, after. Click apply, and that will drop back into the same folder which it started in, and here it is here. Job done.